What's happening, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty Podcast. And on today's show, we are going to review our Scott Fishbowl 11 drafts. We're going to talk about how things turned out, how we're feeling going into SFB 11, but I'm always feeling good about this guy. He is my co-host. You know him as the man of the hour and the man with the power. He is Jerry Sinclair. Jerry, what's up, man?
Nothing. I am always feeling good to sit here and do this podcast with you. Whether I am that confident about my Scott Fishbowl team is an entirely different story. How are you doing, my friend? I know we're going to get into it a little deeper later, but how do you feel? What's the overarching feel for the team so far? Have you crapped your pants in that league is the question.
No, I don't think so. We're going to answer a list of questions about our SFB team here in just a little bit. One thing I have the good fortune of is I've been in the Scott Fish Bowl. This is my fourth year. And every year, Scott, with his unique and very thoughtful scoring systems, he makes it a ton of fun. The third round reversal, which we implemented in our newest patron draft, Patron 12, just kicked off Sunday Night Live on YouTube. If you want to see the first round live, you can see it on YouTube. I'm going to try to convert it to a podcast for Friday consumption. But we did the third round reversal, which kicked you and I right square in the nuts, right square in the nutsack. We had the one.
I didn't actually vote on it because I didn't want to sway the voting, but I knew it was going to kick us right in the nuts. But
that's why I think we wound up with the 103.
yeah.
So spoiler alert, this is one pick that Jerry and I agreed with right off the jump. We agreed to Dak at the 103. Now this is a 6 point per passing touchdown Superflex league. So big scoring format for QBs, especially QBs that throw a lot of touchdowns. And Jerry and I had no arguments, so we have that going on. But we're going to jump into Scott Fishbowl here in just a minute. And like I said, if you were subscribed over to YouTube, you would have already have seen this. You would have already met some of our patrons. You would have seen them live and in person. It's a great way to get to know each other. Currently on YouTube, it's mostly podcast, occasional small video here or there. But it's the best way to see mock drafts or real drafts is over at YouTube. It's just Sleeper is so photogenic. Jerry, have you noticed that? Like Sleeper was made for the streaming format. Would you agree with their colors and the draft board?
Absolutely. And, their competition makes it look like it's a, website from 1995. I'm not going to name any names, but yes.
I like MFL, Jerry. Maybe it's because I'm old. I like MFL, but from I could never in a bajillion million years think about doing a live draft, streaming live to YouTube or Twitter from MFL. It's just horrible. But so if you want to check that out, it's in the YouTube archives. It'll be a podcast at some point down the road. We'll jump over to 5-star reviews. No 5 stars. I'm not going to read the 2-star. I will say he didn't shit on us too bad.
No, he did not. I saw.
But you know what? This is a business. Us helping you with your podcast shouldn't cost us money. Are we going to make $1 million? No. Are we going to turn it into careers? No. But we got to do what we got to do to keep the lights on. So we try to do a tried and true formula for podcast. We do our commercials at the open. We do them at the end. We might put one in the middle here or there, but we try to make them as little intrusion into the podcast as possible. But we did get your message, and we did take it to heart. So thank you for a 2-star review.
We will try. And listen, if we change it, you better go back in there and change that bad boy to a 5. That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. We're just trying to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names. I listen to a lot of Dynasty podcasts. How many Dynasty podcasts out there are you listening? And like literally, I don't know who does the editing, but literally mid-word, they jump into a ball hair trimmer commercial or a razor commercial or another commercial. And that's cool. I respect the hustle. Again, their work in trying to make folks better Dynasty gamers shouldn't have to come out of their pocket to keep the lights on. So but we do it in a way that's as little of intrusion as possible on the podcast. I will call out the social media, Dynasty WarZone on Instagram and on Twitter. Jerry, what do you think about another Q&A coming up? We did a Q&A on YouTube a couple of weeks ago. Tremendous hit. Tremendous. People loved it.
Always fun, too, because I think it's the curveball aspect of it that just throws you off and makes it an entertaining show to do.
People love it. You don't know what the questions are going to be coming from the live YouTube audience. always a great time doing Q&As, and maybe we'll jump into that. And then the final thing, we're going to start doing some divisional breakdowns next week. Now, we're not going to do the boring, well, this team got a new coach, and I think it's going to do this, and No, we're going to do it from a much more WarZone-based philosophy. We're going to do it with how it can help your Dynasty rosters, and you'll definitely have the man of the hour and the man with the power here with me on Wednesdays, and you never know who may be here with me on Fridays. But we're going to get through all 8 divisions, and we're going to help your Dynasty rosters in that fashion. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a little time out. We're going to take a time out. We're going to hear a commercial from the Patreon. It's going to be pre-recorded. We'll just take a minute of your time, and then we'll get into the content. Jerry, are you ready?
Fire away, my friend.
Let's do that commercial. All right, there it is, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. So, Jerry, are you ready for a new segment?
Oh, boy. All right. What do we got?
New segment. I don't believe there are a lot of bad people in the fantasy or in Dynasty space. You know, like evil spirits, like rotten to their core. But there is no shortage of absolute trash takes for Dynasty, fantasy, or football in general on social media. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
Now we're not gonna go personal. We're not gonna call anyone names. We're not gonna say they're a bum or they don't know football. We're just isolating this to one take, right? One take. Now we have went back and forth about whether or not we're gonna leave the person's name out. I think for this first one on the maiden voyage, we will leave the person's name out. If you think it's a fair thing to leave the person's name, this person is verified. They got the little white check mark, and it is. And we're just talking about their take. So Jerry, we're going to do this.
And listen, should they ever find out about it, we can gladly debate the topic.
We'll have them on as a guest.
Exactly.
We'd love to have people on.
This is not meant to be venomous when we do these sorts of things. We are just arguing is what needs to be done about lots
healthy
of
debate.
Dynasty. Exactly. Well, I'm a historian, so we like to say arguments. You have to create an argument to prove your point. That's all we're trying to do. We are just giving a counter argument to something that we both agree on, and if you don't, by all means, I am always open to changing my opinion at any and all possibilities.
Yeah, I don't pretend to have all the answers. As I always say, none of us know as much as all of us. But in this particular case, I think this take was terrible. And it goes, you don't give a guy this kind of contract to not, all in caps, feature him in the offense. And it's referring to Jonnu Smith signing a 4-year, $50 million deal with the New England Patriots. Now then, our very own Dr. Kyle, who we love, he's family, he's on the team. What Dom say in The Fast and the Furious? There's nothing stronger than family. And Dr. Kyle's family. Am I wrong?
No, you are not wrong.
And then Dr. Kyle jumps in to support this take. So I'll throw him in the grease right off the jump. I'm sorry. But the old money-based take, it might be one of the worst I've heard. Where are the stats? Where are the data? What are you back? Jerry, do you think Jonnu Smith getting a $50 million contract means he's the featured piece in this offense?
I don't. The problem is Jonnu Smith just hasn't been good. And, we like to talk before we record. And I started laughing because I pulled up his stats because I wanted to see, I never actually sort of stop and look and see what a player has done in a whole. Jonnu Smith has not been great, Randy. We're talking about
no, Jerry, he's never been good. He's never even had a good season.
448 yards is his career high season, and it was last year. It's the 8 touchdowns that he got that is sort of making everyone go crazy. So the question is
but Jerry, hold on. But what were his touchdown totals before the anomalous 8? Do you know, top of your head?
Yeah, 3-3-2 going backwards.
3-3-2. So all of a sudden he has a magic 8, and all of a sudden he's featured in the offense. What the fuck are we talking about?
It's could he break out? Yeah, of course.
No.
The problem is I think,
it's possible versus probable.
Yes, nothing is impossible. I think he got a downgrade in offense. I think he got a downgrade in quarterback. He also has more competition. Hunter Henry is there. Let's be real. And, the argument we want to face is that is money a true determinant of somebody's role in an offense? And that's the thing that sort of pisses us off. And I know you are much more prepared for this argument, so I'm going to let you go for a little bit.
I'm going to hit you with data. I'm going to try to avoid my opinion. Who was his play caller the last 2 seasons in Tennessee? It was Arthur Smith. What was Arthur Smith's role before he was the offensive coordinator? He was the tight end coach. So if anyone ever had a reason to feature Jonnu Smith, it was Arthur Smith, and he didn't do it. His target competition in Tennessee the last 2 years, sorry Corey Davis truthers, this might hurt you too, but was trash outside of A.J. Brown. No pass-catching backs to speak of. No real Adam Humphries? Corey Davis? And you can't catch more than 41 balls in a season? He's never eclipsed 500 yards in a season? Oh, here's one for you. So remember last year where we all talked about what a pile of shit Tyler Higbee, he's maybe a bad person, but what a pile of shit Tyler Higbee was for fantasy last year?
Yep.
Tyler Higbee had 44 catches, or 3 more than Jonnu, and he had 521 yards. 500 yards is something that Jonnu's never done. And then we can go back to 2019, where Tyler Higbee in 5 games, in a 5-week sample, had 43 catches for 522 yards. He did more in 5 games than Jonnu could do in his best career season to date. And then the argument's money, right? The argument's money? Money?
Yeah, the argument's money.
Okay, money. Jonnu Smith is the 3rd highest paid pass catcher on his own team this year. His cap hit is $5.6 million. You know what Hunter Henry's is? 6.8. You know what Nelson Aguilar's is?
Stop.
$7 million. So if it's money-based, you don't pay this man this kind of money. Okay? But let's talk about featured. What would be a featured role for Jonnu Smith? Featured. Give me a target.
What's their passing volume?
Well, last year with Cam Newton as the quarterback, they had the 2nd highest rush percentage of any team in the NFL. They rushed the ball 502 times, or 51.3% of the time it was a rush. Okay? They attempted 477 passes. Let's use Cam's 60% career completion. So first of all, that's 30 targets to divvy up between Jacoby Myers, maybe N'Keal Harry, Hunter Henry, James White, and Damian Harris out the backfield. Did I mention Nelson Aguilar? And then there's Jonnu. So we have to divvy up 30 attempts per game. 477 divided by 16 is 30 attempts a game. Oh, but wait a minute. New England's defense should be better. Now, this is an opinion. Should be better because of the opt-out players coming back. So then Cam's 60% career completion percentage means they will complete 18 passes. So the same question, how many passes is he going to catch? Cam threw 8 touchdowns last year. 8. Now, guess that number. What if he doubles it to 16? Jonnu himself caught 8 touchdowns last year. Right. But let's say they run Mac Jones out there. Let's say they run out Mac. What if Mac completes 65? That's a much more likely. That's 20 completions a game. You see my point. There's nothing. There's nothing to feature. This is the entire Rashad Bateman Baltimore Ravens argument for a guy, and then our entire narrative is based around money.
We have seen Jonnu not succeed, at least fantasy-wise. Rashad Bateman still has a chance. He's a lottery. He's a scratch-off ticket that we can hope can hit. We haven't seen it from Jonnu. It's tougher, and there's a lot of tight ends in sort of his range that get paid a lot of money, and nobody's out there arguing that they're going to get featured. O.J. Howard, you know what his base salary is this year? $6 million. Ain't nobody arguing for him.
That's more. Does that mean Tampa Bay's going to feature him? Because he's making slightly more than Jonnu money.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk. You know who's another one? I got him somewhere. Here we go. Austin Hooper. He's making 4.5, so he's making a little bit less. Nobody's out here talking about him. You want another one? This one's the best one. This one's the best one. He must, absolutely, certainly must be featured by the Cleveland Browns because of his salary of $6 million this season. David Njoku. Same position.
Stop it.
$6 million, David Njoku.
Stop it.
25 years old. It's just
so you
listen.
You mean to tell me that money?
Yeah, no,
Go ahead.
It's a suspect argument. It's especially with this position. Like, I understand that there are probably some tight ends that are getting paid less that are going to get featured more, but those are also the young guys that are on their rookie contract that are, have showed a little bit more than him. I mean, TJ Hawkinson has done more than him. So it's not my favorite argument, is what I will say. I don't know how much credence the money aspect of a tight end has that's on his second contract shows that they are going to get an immense workload. I don't see a correlation in that.
Look, dude, Jonnu Smith, and this is redraft. We're coming up on redraft season. He is the tight end 14 per the folks over at Fantasy Pros. I would gladly wait the additional round and take Tyler Higbee, who's going right after him, Irv Smith Jr., Robert Tonyan is going. I don't know how the hell Robert Tonyan is going after Jonnu Smith. He's the tight end 17. Is there a world that you live in redraft or in Dynasty where you would take Jonnu Smith over Robert Tonyan?
No, but I've seen Robert Tonyan do things. Jonnu Smith has built a career on hype. He has been talk.
In fairness, athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, which it shows. I'm not going to argue that it doesn't. That's the thing about people that scout prospects, is they watch a guy and they go, this guy can run fast and this guy can do great things, which is all fine and dandy. I mean, we watched Javid Best do that, and we watched Rashad Penny do that in the Senior Bowl. It doesn't necessarily translate to fantasy points, and nothing that Jonnu has done shows that is the correlation, and the money that he's getting also does not correlate to him necessarily getting this giant chunk of this offense, which should not be excellent. And he does have competition. Granted, he's got no A.J. Brown. If your argument is that he got a worse top-end competitor in the pass-catching game, he got a new scenery, okay, I can hear it. He's still not somebody I'm going after. I think that's a better argument than saying that because he got this amount of money, when guys like Tyler Hooper have had identical stats, nobody cares about it. You get him 6 rounds later. I got him in the 17th round of Scott Fishbowl. Jonnu Smith went in the 11th.
Well, let me. So we'll go back to the pass attempts. 30 pass attempts a game. So let's give him a no way will he ever see it, but 25% target share. That would be 7.5 targets a game. Cam Newton again completes 60% of his balls. So that would be approximately 4-ish, maybe 4.5 receptions per game. Okay. So what are you looking at? You're looking at
Cam Newton throws the ball down the field extremely well, right?
Well, I mean, it's going to be in the short and intermediate. I don't think Cam Newton, his shoulder, different story. But my overarching point is that basing that a featured role in a limited passing offense just seems like bad advice and a bad take from a great person. So be aware. Jerry and I are going to be sharing a lot of takes that we don't agree with, and feel free to do the same thing to me. I don't, because here's the thing. Also,
and there is nothing that says that we won't be making fun of each other's tweets.
Oh, if Jerry
at some point too.
I don't need to queue up your tweets.
I have good takes, but
I'll just blast you right here.
One of Randy's.
I'll just come over the top, Chuck Liddell, overhand right, knock your ass right out for a bad take right here on the show. So we're going to end that. Jonnu Smith is getting a featured role based on money. We're going to end that with this. All right, man. Let's get into it. Let's get into Scott Fishbowl.
Okay.
Let's get into Scott Fishbowl.
Now we can make fun of my teams, because while that might have been a bad take, this is a bad team.
Well, I'm ready to get into it. Let's start. So the Scott Fishbowl this year, the theme is bands and music. Now, for those that don't know, how did you get Earth, Wind, and Fire? First of all, probably 92.5% of our audience do not even know who. I must actually play closer to 97% of our audience have no clue of who Earth, Wind, and Fire are. But why don't you break that down, how you wound up in that division, and what was your slot?
Well, for one, I like Earth, Wind, and Fire, so screw you, Randy. Originally, I picked Bill Withers because Bill Withers is my man.
Like sunshine when she's gone.
Oh yeah, no, that's just absolute fire. I picked him and I picked Eazy-E. Neither of them made the cut, so I switched it. I went Earth, Wind, and Fire and Dr. Dre. I ended up getting Earth, Wind, and Fire. I got the 12th pick. Listen, Earth, Wind, and Fire is just too funky. Like, you cannot play the song September by them and just not be in a better mood. It's an impossibility. So do yourself a favor. If you have no idea who Earth, Wind, and Fire is, put the song September on, play it, and I guarantee you start jigging a little bit because it's just too good.
Can you like chair dance like a little?
I
mean, we're on YouTube, right? We were on YouTube, right? Just download and play a bit. It's copyrighted. It's copyrighted, so I can't play it on the YouTube live stream, or I would totally play some. So, okay, I'm in a much more conventional artist, someone from the last 10 to 15 years. I can't believe he's been around that long. It feels like it's been 5 years, really.
My first concert, actually.
It's Kanye West. I wound up in Kanye West, much like Jerry. I asked for Metallica. That's my favorite band of all time. And
any human being that's watching this YouTube right now knows damn well that your favorite band's Metallica just by looking at you.
I mean, I have to look like I would be a Metallica fan, but I also asked for Stevie Ray Vaughan. In my opinion, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, and Stevie Ray Vaughan did not get a division. So when Metallica filled up, I switched my ask to Kanye West. That's my son's favorite artist, and Kanye division was there, and I drafted from the 106. So I feel really good about my team. Now my strategy is I was drafting points. I learned the hard way last year that, and we actually learned this in the Q&A. We mentioned the YouTube Q&As that you and I have been doing, and we actually investigated the quarterback scoring. There is the alleged that certain quarterbacks thrive in this format, and you and I debunked that in the YouTube Q&A we did a couple weeks ago. They still kind of finish where they finish. It just, there are a handful of guys that are really hurt by the format, like a couple of personal favorites. I'll be the first to admit it. I like Carson Wentz. Yeah. I like Daniel Jones. I like Sam Darnold, and they do not thrive in this format because it focuses on completions and it severely penalizes turnovers. So those guys are not going to be the best. So my strategy was just to draft points. You make fun of MFL earlier, right?
Yeah.
Scott Fishbowl always hosted on MFL, and MFL has a tab across the top row that runs horizontally. It says player stats. I simply went into there and I started looking at this is how you should approach any dynasty draft or fantasy draft. Look at who scored the most friggin' points. Ask yourself, are they likely to repeat this? If the answer is yes, move them up your draft board. If the answer is no, this is an anomaly, move them down your draft board. Sometimes we make shit way harder than it has to be. So I simply drafted points. The first 3 picks for me were Dak Prescott, averaged over 30 points a game in this format last year in 5 games, including two 40-point games. Aaron Rodgers was the highest scoring player in this format last year. So I drafted Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I think he comes back and plays. And then I stacked him because we know stacks are so in vogue right now. I stacked Aaron Rodgers with Davante Adams. So those 3 guys right there, Dak, Rodgers, and Davante Adams, they'll give me, if they meet their averages last year, they'll give me 85 points a week. From what I could find, I couldn't get any concrete data from Scott or Ryan McDowell, friend of the show. What the average winning score was. So I went back and looked at my division last year. Around 145, 150 points was what I saw. So literally 3 guys, you start 11, literally 3 guys will get me over 50% on average of what I need to give a winning week. So that means the other 8 guys would need to score about 9.5 points each on average to help me get W's. I just drafted points. What was your philosophy going into the Scott Fish Bowl?
Pretty much punt wide receiver. That was really all I really had. I might have done it a little too much, which we'll get into in a little bit, but that was sort of my thing. Their point totals are not great. Now, obviously, if you can get a top end one, they're okay. Running backs are much more stable. Quarterbacks are much more stable. I really wanted to just pepper those positions and then just try and make it through. And the common narrative about wide receivers in Scott Fishbowl is sort of that. Like that's sort of what everybody talks about. So they slip also. So it was sort of a good thing. I just waited a little bit too long because I'm a gambler, Randy. Riverboat Ron, Riverboat Jerry. I can't help it.
Riverboat Jerry.
maybe I'll just wait one more pick. Then I'll get my man. And then your guy goes, and then you get to the next one. You're like, well, I don't like this guy as much. But this guy, maybe I'll get him in the next round. And then, sure enough, you know damn well he ain't slipping to you. But overall, I don't hate my team. So I picked the 12 because I wanted to do the third round reversal. I had never been in one. So I wanted to reap the benefits of it. So I wanted to pick the 12. It was cool. I liked it. It was different. I definitely enjoyed the hell out of it. And Greg from the Aussie guys giving me crap.
Hey, I have now learned how to share comments on the YouTube live stream. And Greg Chirac, aka G from the Aussie guys at Aussie Guys NFL, said 12th pick with a third round reversal, and Jerry still screwed it up. I guarantee it. LOL. You're not wrong, Greg. You're not wrong. So I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite pick out of all 22? Now, have you even completed your draft? We just wrapped up yesterday.
No. Let's see. I think I'm in the 18th round.
So
we are working towards the 18th round. We just had the first pick of the 18th round go, and I'm the 12th pick of it.
Perfect.
Honestly, I think my favorite pick was one of the 1-2 turn, because I took Justin Herbert and Saquon Barkley. So either one of those. I didn't really expect either of those guys to be there. I sort of thought I was going to have to go Ezekiel Elliott or Russell Wilson or something. So I was thrilled to get either one of those guys. Both of those would be my favorite. If you're making me pick a later guy, though, I think it's Mike Davis at 701. The guys that went after
you have been the king of Mike Davis. You took Mike Davis a couple of weeks ago in the mock draft we did with Kyle and Jake from the Fantasy Football Smackdown.
He's so cheap. He's like, that late game guy or that late season guy that gets that big boost. The guy that has always gone in like the third or fourth round the next year and then just is mediocre, so he never is worth it. Alex Collins, Zach Stacy, Kenyon Drake, those sorts of guys.
They're the one-hit wonder. He's the mock. Speaking of music, he's the Macarena of fantasy football.
That's to all the '90s babies out there. There's a reference. But Mike Davis, he's got no competition. He's in a good situation for him to run the ball, and he's going in the 7th round. Like if he was in the 4th round. Absolutely not. I would throw Mike Davis away and I would have him on 0 teams. In the 7th, though, as a running back 2 or 3, or if you waited a running back 2, yeah, he's been my guy. So I was really happy about that. And then, I have the long wait when I have the end pick. The running backs that went between my picks: Myles Gaskin, Travis Etienne, Chase Edmonds, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, Michael Carter, Trey Sermon. Like, Mike Davis has the most secure role. He could easily be a workhorse. Like, I'm happy because I got the last guy at the tier that I wanted, and that is something that so rarely happens when you have the end pick.
And I would take Mike Davis last out of all the guys that you just mentioned
really?
in a dynasty format.
Okay.
We're a dynasty show, brother.
Course,
we're a dynasty show.
Of course.
So I want to make sure I clarify that for the audience. I would take him dead last from a dynasty perspective out of every name that you do. But guys, you have to reposition your mind. And I can tie this back to dynasty for our dynasty listener. If you're a contender and you got an extra 3rd or an extra 4th for Mike Davis, an extra 2nd or 3rd for Mike Davis, do it. Do it. He may not make it all 16 games.
I'm not in on him for dynasty either, just to throw that out there.
But if you're a contender, you're going to need running back depth in 2021. My favorite pick was your boy in Honolulu Blue, Mr. DeAndre Swift, in the 4th round. Now, I took the 6th overall pick because I didn't want to fool around with the 3rd round reversal. It really had no impact on me whatsoever. I took DeAndre Swift at the 407. And I could not have been happier with that pick. He's my RB1 in the group. My other RBs include guys like Javonte Adams, Tony Pollard. I know I'm missing a name or two. I'll pull my team up. But he was my favorite. I think a guy with his first down upside. You remember the conversation we had where I thought there's literally going to be drives in 2021 where DeAndre Swift will catch 3 or 4 balls on a drive. And how many of those will be cheap little first down extenders? And this is a point, you get additional scoring for first downs in this league. So I think his role is going to be fine. I would actually prefer that his, people get so caught out of shape and bent out of shape on snap share and target share and rush share. Guys, Josh Jacobs was the RB8 last year, and he had a sub 58% share of both snaps and rush attempts for the Raiders. You can do a lot with a little at the running back position as it relates to running backs in 2020, 2021. It's a brave new world. The days of the old school bell cow have gone. I love DeAndre Swift. How do you feel about DeAndre Swift and my choice of him in the 4th? I think that was a bargain.
Well, you got a bargain compared to where I got him at, because I took him with the 3rd round reversal pick at 301. I took him over guys.
Holy Toledo. Value on value.
No, that was an easy pick for me, in truth. I knew I was going to take him earlier than a lot of people, and I know I took him over a few guys that people would definitely prefer, like Cam Akers. Like, I know most people are picking Cam Akers over him. We've talked a lot. I'm not the biggest Cam Akers guy, so I went with Swift for the same reason that you talked about earlier. I could easily see a situation where he gets multiple catches on a single drive. I like the kid. And here's the thing. Like, I'm a Lions fan, so people think it's because I'm a homer. Here's the thing. I am a pessimistic Lions fan, which means I actually probably hate every single person on that team more than anybody else. Just because they're a Lion.
Anyone that's a Lion, Jerry feels like, even TJ Hawkinson, Jerry's pessimist. So here's my running back group in total. I got Jared Dokes, the rookie for the Dolphins, Travis Etienne, Damian Harris, Phillip Lindsay, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, Darrell Williams, and Javonte Williams. Give me all the Williams. This is such a running back heavy format, but I absolutely loved Swift in the 4th. I'll go ahead and tell you my least favorite pick, and that was Devontae Adams in the 3rd. Now, don't get me wrong.
That's not bad.
I love the stack. I absolutely love the stack. And later I did a double Green Bay stack. There might be games where I also have Allen Lazard on the team. I got Allen Lazard in the 19th round. So I could do a double Green Bay stack in a very, like a game where the Vegas totals, like, in the high 50s or maybe even touching 60, as crazy as that is to say. That in some of those games, I might do a double Green Bay stack. But I would have rather, in hindsight, with the way that I value Najee Harris, I wish I would have went Najee in the 3rd, because he went the very next pick after I took DeAndre Hopkins. After I took Devontae Adams. And then I would have stacked, I would have still went Swift, potentially, if he was there. The butterfly effect. If one thing happens, it could change the entire course of events. But that was my least favorite pick. Now, I don't regret it. Again, I was drafting points. I love the 55-point-a-week stack of Rodgers and Adams. But what was your least favorite pick and why?
So I actually really wanted Najee Harris too. That was the only choice I had between me and Swift. My least favorite pick is an easy one. You and Izzy both made fun of me for it, and rightfully so. Deshaun Watson at 412. So
way too early, kid.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it. So my draft started off extremely slow. It ended up picking it up. Like, I know we're still drafting, which isn't bad, but we had a bad day or two this past couple of days. But it started slow, so I was seeing where he was going, and he had gone earlier than where I was picking 20 times, 30 times. So I sort of figured that by the time it got to my next pick, that 6-12, 7-1, he wasn't going to be available. And I really wanted him because if he plays, which there is a possibility, there is a non-zero chance that man plays every single game. And if he does, that is a league-winning type of asset. I didn't want to miss out on him. So I took him, and I figured the 412 would be okay because if he does play, that's a fantastic value, obviously.
Can I give you a little bit of peace of mind, a little bit of comfort?
Okay. I'm going to crap on myself after you're done, but go ahead.
Do you know the only person keeping Deshaun Watson from playing football is Deshaun Watson? You know, here it is. Their training camp, as we record this Tuesday night on YouTube and Wednesday podcast, their camp opens up 2 weeks from Tuesday. So on the 27th of July, my little brother's birthday, on the 27th of July, they open up camp. And here's the thing. He gets fined. I believe it's $50,000 a day. And it used to be refundable where the team could waive the fines when the player They can't do that anymore. and it'll create to where he has to give money back. Now, that's not to say that he couldn't show up on the 27th and the NFL automatically puts him on the NFI. But here's my one thing for Deshaun Watson. This entire case is civil. Zero criminal charges. I know there's 22 women. I know there's a lot of negative allegations. But if he gets suspended for civil charges, it is setting a dangerous precedent for the NFL. It allows anyone from any walk of life to accuse an NFL player of wrongdoing, sue them for it, and then allow the NFL to step in and take action against them. Do you know how much of a blackmail situation this creates for the NFL? Hey, if you don't give me $1 million, I'm going to tell them that you did this, this, and this, and you did it this, I won't file charges. And then it becomes he said versus, whoever said in a court of law. So this is a real slippery slope for the NFL and for Deshaun Watson dynasty owners. So there is still a chance, Jerry. There is still a world where you could get bailed out with this pick for 2021.
Well, if he plays, it's a great pick. No argument. There's not a human being that doesn't take him in the first round if he plays. So if he plays, it's a great pick. The problem is when I said I looked and saw he had gone 20 times earlier than where I had picked, and I didn't think I would get him later than that. In about 60 of those leagues, he went much later than that. I think the latest he ended up going was like the 12th round or 13th round or something. So granted, I would have never let him slip probably past my next pick, but that was definitely the worst one, and it set me up to have to take more quarterbacks than I sort of wanted to, because I have to take insurance. Like there's no way I could go and just take another quarterback. So I ended up with 4 of them. It sort of threw things off a bit. So had I not gone with him, I still would have ended up with Zach Wilson, who I took later, and I still would have ended up with Ben Roethlisberger to pair with Justin Herbert. Still 3 good quarterbacks, happy to have them, and I could have had a wide receiver. So I could have had Justin Jefferson or DK Metcalf, and instead I punted all the way down until like the 8th or 9th round when I took one. So it threw things off, and if he doesn't play or he gets suspended for a chunk of the season, it is going to be the reason I struggle in this league.
Wow. I'm going to jump over to my biggest regret. And my biggest regret was taking Sam Darnold in the 11th as my third QB. Not that but the only reason in this format to take a third QB, in my opinion, or a fourth QB in your case, is if one of your 2 QBs is a mobile quarterback, a Lamar Jackson, a Josh Allen, a guy who a large part of his game is predicated on the run. I don't really have that. No, Aaron Rodgers are mobile-ish. Dak is mobile-ish. They'll scramble, they'll extend the play, they'll run a little bit here or there. But I took Sam Darnold, and it's not that I think Sam Darnold can't have a good 2021. I was actually debating with friend of the show, Josh Larkey from Roto Underworld, about there's a real-world scenario where I think Sam Darnold could be a top 10 QB this year. The rookie mistake, the regret that I have is that Sam Darnold has the same bye week as Aaron Rodgers. It does me no good the week that I would the 1 week that I would be starting Sam Darnold, and maybe there may be another. Aaron Rodgers has traditionally struggled against the Tampa Bay defense as it's currently constructed. He has not done great against the defense in San Francisco. So maybe there's like a 10% chance in those 2 games if Sam Darnold had like the perfect matchup and he's balling out. But the odds of me using Sam Darnold, and there was a lot of value in the 11. So that was my one regret. I still think Sam has a good season. Sam's just not going to have a good enough season where I can see him starting for my lineup over Dak, over Rodgers. So that was a tactical error on my part. What about you? What was a regret you had from the Scott Fish Bowl?
Outside of Deshaun Watson, because that was one. The problem is like I said, I had to take more quarterbacks than I wanted to, and the guy I picked was Ben Roethlisberger for the same reason you did it, same bye week as Justin Herbert. So then I had to take yet another one to overcome that. So that was yet another tactical mistake. So apparently that's our MO for this one.
It's one of those things. It's like no matter how long you've been doing that, and the Scott Fish Bowl, this thing runs all the time. And just a rookie mistake, and we all make them. Sam Darnold didn't have a Week 13 bye, let's say it was 12 or 7 or 4 or anything but 13 or anything but what Dak had, that would not have been my regret pick. Now, my biggest value pick, the pick that I love, was getting Bryan Edwards of the Raiders in the 14th round. I had just missed out on my rookie man crush, Terrace Marshall. I just missed out on McCole Hardman, who I think will have a pretty good role. But you know what? Someone has to be second on the Raiders in targets. It could be Henry Ruggs, who I also took. So this was kind of a hedge. It was a nice, cheap hedge. It was like, hey, someone on this team is going to have a really nice role, and it may be Henry Ruggs. I doubt it. It's probably going to be Bryan Edwards. So I'm going to hedge. Getting Bryan Edwards in the 14th after missing out on Hardman and Marshall really felt like a big value to me, especially given what I think his upside could be. What was your biggest value pick so far?
Probably Juju. I got him at 901. A guy who has a 96 catch season last year. He has a 100 and whatever catch season. He was wide receiver 18 in this scoring format last year, and I got him in the 9th round. You know, scored more than Chase Claypool, scored more than Terry McLaurin, scored more than DJ Moore. Got him in the 9th. That was a good one. I was very happy about that. I sort of figured I would, because he's one of the guys that people love to hate. And if there's something that I always take, it's the people that, it's the guys that people love to hate. So that was a big one. I think Elijah Moore is the other answer with 12-12. I don't know. I just got a feeling about him. I'm not going to say he's the Justin Jefferson of this draft class for me, but he feels like he's going to be that for me personally. Maybe not with that production, of course, because that would just be stupid to say, but he just feels like he's going to be a breakout. And I know the hype's around him, so I just countered my argument that I like the guys that people hate, but I don't really trust Corey Davis. If Zach Wilson is a thing, Elijah Moore is going to be a thing, and to get him at 12-12, especially in my situation where I had punted wide receivers, if I can get a high upside guy that I can nab at the end of the 12th, love it. That's what I'll need. If this team's going to be a playoff team, it's going to be because of a pick like that, and he hits.
Well, I would agree. And so I want to jump over to a player that you were concerned with, but you drafted anyway. Do you have that guy on your team that you're like, man, this guy makes me nervous, but you know what? There you go.
It was the very next pick after Elijah Moore. It was Darnell Mooney. I don't know what the hell to do with Darnell Mooney, if you want me to be honest. He just, rookie, Chicago Bears. Like, this was sort of a situation where I'm like, well, if Justin Fields can show up, if it's Andy Dalton, I want to see the guy grow. He's in that mold that NFL teams really like to use over the last couple of years. So if he can grow on what he did, which was pretty darn good for a rookie considering, I think that is going to be a good one. That was one where he's a player I don't have. I don't think anywhere. And I like you, well, I play a lot of this fantasy game that we like to talk about all the time. And I don't think I had a single share. So I took him. It's a shot. If you're going to take a shot, do it in the Scott Fish Bowl, because even if you use that glory one time, baby, it's a glory that lasts for a lifetime.
If you are in any kind of tournament, I know our buddy Josh Larkey, again from Roto Underworld, he plays a shit pile of underdog best ball tournaments. He posts a ton of those on Twitter at JLarkeyTweets. I'm not the biggest best ball guy, but you're not going to win the $1 million underdog tournament. You're not going to win the Scott Fish Bowl tournament if you're drafting safe floor guy. Safe floor guy in mega tournaments, especially in a best ball tournament like the underdog. Now, this is where we set our lineups every week. But if you're drafting safe floor guy, you're going to get fucked in fantasy football. It is no way to win a mega tournament. If it's in Dynasty and you want to have a couple of safe floor guys, again, this isn't a head-to-head strategy. If there's a week where you're a huge favorite and you want to put like maybe one or two, this is 11-player start format. If you want to put like two safe floor guys in there just to kind of help bolster your odds of winning, fine. But you got to have guys that can win you weeks, especially in best ball, but especially in tournaments. No one's going to win a tournament playing it safe. The guy that I'm concerned over, but I drafted anyway, was Cole Kmet. These Scott Fish Bowl leagues are heavily tight end premium. I wanted to stack Dak with a premium tight end. I really wanted to get a Kelsey, which Kelsey I think went 103 in my division. Kittle went around around the 1-2 turn, so somewhere around where you got Herbert and Barkley, and then Waller went just a couple of picks ahead of me. So the minute those three were gone from me, I was like, screw it, just going to punt tight end and nab a couple of dart throws late. So I did draft Cole Kmet. I'm a Cole Kmet guy. I don't believe there's a lot of passing off options in Chicago outside of Allen Robinson, maybe Darnell Mooney. You just mentioned Darnell Mooney, but we live in a world where Cole Kmet could be second or third in that team in targets. And I don't think that team's going to be as good. Their Vegas win totals around 8.5. So should be some game scripts that favor Cole Kmet. And he had some good runs down the end of the season. But the guy that I got in the 16th round, I want to talk about for a second, Austin Hooper. Now, Austin Hooper was on the field for 78% of the offensive plays in games he played. He played 13 games, and in those 13 games, he was on the field for, we'll round up, 80% of the offensive snaps. And on those snaps, he ran a route 72% of the time. 3 out of 4 plays, basically, he's out there on a route. He's not in there blocking. He's going into his second year with Baker and Stefanski. There's no pandemic to, slow down camp and interaction with Baker. This is his second year in the offense. Odell Beckham, not the healthiest guy around. They don't pass a ton to the running backs. Why could Austin Hooper not have a top 8 tight end year? So I felt like Austin Hooper was like my mini hedge, and then I added Cameron Brate in one of the last rounds. So I've got some tight ends I like, but yeah, I felt Cole Kmet was a risk. What are your thoughts on Kmet? And then tell me if you drafted any kickers. And he's on mute because that's what Jerry does. It wouldn't be a weekly Dynasty Warzone without Jerry pulling a Jerry.
This is why we can't have nice things. So, yes, Cole Kmet is a risk. I'm with you. I thought about taking him too. So where you were concerned and then drafted him anyway, I was concerned on the edge, decided not to. Austin Hooper, I took at 1701.
Was that because I encouraged you?
No.
Be honest, Jerry. Don't lie to the people.
Value. That's just silly value. I got Tariq Cohen at 1612 too, which I loved every second of that. Did I draft a kicker? How many times are we going to bash kickers in this game that we play? We don't like him in our dynasty leagues. We don't even like him in our redraft leagues. But I'll be damned if you're going to put it in the Scott Fishbowl if you think I'm not going to take one. Randy, I took Tyler Bass of the Buffalo Bills. Yes, sir, I did. He was the 5th-ranked kicker. I think that offense is pretty good. Is he kicking in the snow? Oh, yeah. Am I ever going to play him? Probably not. But he was a kicker, and I had the option. And listen, that's what you do. That's the Scott Fishbowl is all about fun. And if I might play him once. I might play him once just to play the man. Maybe it'll be week 1. I don't know. You know who I'm going to play? Ready?
Who you going to play?
Mark my words. I have Andrew Canty.
Write this down.
One of our closest friends, ally to the podcast, friend of the show. I'm going to play Tyler Bass when I play him. I don't care. He's going in. Someone's hitting the pine. Tyler Bass is going in. You're getting kicker punished, my friend.
Can you call him Big Bad Tyler Billy Bass? Remember the Billy Bass from years ago that would sing? Jerry, I also went kicker. The rule of 1, the Herm Edwards rule of 1. What did he tell rookies at the rookie symposium? The rule of 1. One girl, one house, one chain. One kicker. One kicker. I took Rodrigo Blankenship in the 18th round. He was my #YOLO kicker. But you know what? He was the kicker 9 last year. And Frank Reich has coached a top 10 scoring offense in 4 of the 5 past years. The only year that his offense was not top 10 in scoring points was 2019 when Andrew Luck retired and they were forced to play Jacoby Brissett. And that year, they were still 16th in points scored that year. So I felt like if I'm going to attach myself to an offense, they play in a dome. So a lot of favorable weather. They play a dome game in Houston. So 9 of their 17 games, probably 18 in a year or two, 9 of their games are going to be indoors. And actually, they host the home game, so 10. They host the bonus game against the Buccaneers. So I got 10 dome games, good scoring offense. But I saw people out there drafting 3 and 4 kickers. Here's the thing: even the best ones score like at 11 and a half points in this format. I get
Yeah,
it.
I think the highest average was 10.
It was like, yeah, it was like 10 or 11, like 10 and a half, 10.9. It was 11 points. Rodrigo's going to get me a solid 9 points a game. He did have like four. It was one of those things.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the league. Scott was so awesome. Again, former guest of the show, Lindell Lyons. You know, she's a big kicker advocate. A lot of people are, and I'm not. But screw it, man. It's fun. You're supposed to
Gotta
have
take
fun.
one.
All right, last question. Going to make it hard on you. Playoffs or nah? Is Team Jerry going to the playoffs, or is the answer nah?
I don't think it's not yet, but I don't think it's a certain yes. So listen, I'm biased, right? Like I drafted the team, but I've looked at everyone else's team in my league. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna say they are up to the man of the hour and the man of the powers, standings. They took some riskier picks that I wouldn't have done. Lots of reaches, lots of stuff. Actually, I know I just poo-pooed on Andrew. He's actually got a pretty good team too, though. But so if I am correct in that quarterbacks and running backs are the way to win this league, I think I will be okay. Justin Herbert, should Deshaun Watson play, that would be fine. But Ben Roethlisberger, Justin Herbert, Zach Wilson, that's going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. Running backs, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Davis. And then I didn't take another one until Tariq Cohen. But that's a nice pass-catching guy to get in the 16th. I think I'm going to be all right. I got a couple tight ends. Tight ends are tight ends. Once you don't get the top 3 guys, what the hell do I care about them anyway? Take a couple, throw one in. Randy? Are you doing it?
Well, I drafted this team to make the playoffs and to get hot
Right.
in the playoffs and then make moves in the playoffs. Again, I've got just over 50% of a weekly winning score in 3 guys. My running backs are going to have to develop quickly. Obviously, I love Swift. I'm going to need contributions early from Damian Harris, Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss has a nice role in Buffalo. And then I'm really banking on a couple of young guys to establish their roles later in the season. I've got Javonte Williams, who I've said many times on this broadcast, I think is the 2021 version of what Miles Sanders did in 2019, what Jonathan Taylor did last year. Not that he's going to be those guys, but he's going to have some weeks coming down the stretch where he can be a championship winner. So I love Javonte Williams. And then we all love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But Darrell Williams is the clear handcuff. And if I'm going to draft a handcuff running back or two, like I've also got Tony Pollard on this team.
Kansas City.
Why wouldn't you want? I'm trying to attach these teams to run first or good offenses, and the running backs that aren't on good offenses are pass catchers on bad teams. Travis Etienne is going to be a pass catcher on a bad Jacksonville team. DeAndre Swift is going to be a pass catcher on a bad Lions team. So I do. I like my wide receivers 1 and 2. My wide receiver 2 is Laviska. Again, all upside, all gas, no brakes. I do hope to get some, because I'm only going to play. You have to start 3 wide receivers. I'm probably only going to start 3 wide receivers a week in this format. I'm going to play Adams. I'm going to play Viska. And then I'll play some matchups. And I'm going to throw you one last bonus guy that I really think is going to have a sneaky season. He did okay last year. And let's be honest, T.Y. Hilton, not the healthiest guy around. Zach Pascal. Zach Pascal had some sneaky, low-key value last year in fantasy football. And recently on The Athletic, you familiar with The Athletic, the content-producing website? It's got some premium stuff. They have a podcast. And they had Chris Ballard on as a guest, and he was talking about his faith in this receiving group. And he'll have some spot starts. He finished with 128 points last year in this format. But if he gets the opportunity, maybe he does some things. So he was my my 21st or 22nd pick. So Zach Pascal is my cheap guy. But yeah, I'm making the playoffs. I've made the barring injury. If Dak gets smoked or DeAndre Swift gets smoked early or in camp, I'm cheeks. But if everybody stays healthy and they do what they do, yeah, I feel really comfortable that I'll have enough points on a week in, week out basis to make the playoffs. And then I'm kind of banking on teams spreading the wealth at the running back position and guys like Tony Pollard, Javonte Williams, really contributing to this team down the stretch. I don't remember where I missed out on him, but I was really trying to stack James Robinson and Travis Etienne on this team. I would have loved to have had both. I forget where I missed him. I missed him by like a pick or two. That was a bummer. But yeah, I've got enough veterans to carry the load on a week in, week out basis until some of these young guys and upside swings can pan out or not.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's quite a few people make the playoffs, right? It's just, if anything,
I think it's six. I think it's six per division. It may be four, but I think it's six per division, and it goes 6-4. Yeah, but the playoffs start a week earlier than your traditional playoffs. Last year it started week 12. It went from 6-4, 4-2, and then the winner of the round of two goes on to play, I think, everybody in the finals, and it's at that point it becomes like the best score wins.
Yeah,
so it's a.
I made semifinals 2 years ago, and I don't remember exactly. Like you had to get like the top 10 in playoff scoring, and that moved you on. And then once we got to the semifinals, you had to win your conference, and then they all went and they won. And I did not win. Jacob Brickroad at Clutch Fantasy, who's a good follow. He ended up winning and representing us. I think he ended up getting like sixth or something. So good on them, but it's tough. It's fun. It's super fun to succeed in this league. Like the thing I always talk about is when I drafted Le'Veon Bell 101 and I sucked. But last year having Dak, I thought I was so set. Like I thought I was making.
Well, you had to be feeling it, right?
I was dominating. I was dominating the division, and then he went down, and it was. I was close to making the playoffs even without him, but it was too much to overcome. And the waiver wire, because everybody starts talking about the Scott Fish Bowl waiver wire pick, so you need to be ready and in on it. So if you miss out on them, you're reaching into the bottom of the DVD bargain bin barrel.
I made it to the conference semifinals in 8 against good friend of the show and Scott Fish Bowl Potathon host Sal Lito. He and I both come out of the Al Bundy division, and he cut me down, and he ended up finishing pretty good that year. And then last year, I finished in our division final. I lost to Heath Cummings of CBS. We've had Keith on. We've had Heath on of CBS Sports. So he cut me down last year in the G.I. Joe division. But, I'm looking forward to it. I love the Scott Fish Bowl. We've made some charitable. Here's the thing. Should I need a reminder? Probably not. Do we donate to charities throughout the year with my family, my wife, and I? Sure we do. But it's always nice to have a gentle reminder from a great human being like Scott Fish, like Ryan McDowell, like John Bosch, like Sal and Kevin and Steve from the SFB. It's nice to remind to, put some of that fantasy money, some of that, stuff that we do back into the community and back into charities at large. So always feels good, Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels good. It feels good to see that number at the end. You know what I mean? Because it's never a small number. I don't know exactly what the Potathon got. I'm pretty sure they got close to 40,000.
It was like 37,000 and change on a goal of 20, almost doubled. I know John Bosch, another 30, 40 grand, plus on whatever the Scott Fish Bowl itself raises. We're talking easy six figures. And all of the money, there's not an administration fee, all of the money goes back to various charities across the country and maybe even the world for all I know. But it's a tremendous cause, and make sure to sign up, scottfishbowl.com. You can sign up as a fan, and if you don't get in, don't boo-hoo-hoo. Don't
because I will jam my foot so far
I
up
will
your
find
ass that
you.
Choke on it.
You can call me anything you want. You can insult my tweets. You can go as bad as you want. You can leave a 1-star review. You can try to leave worse than a 1-star review. But I promise you, I'll go full Taken. I'll go Liam Neeson from the movie Taken. I will find you, and then I will kill you if you don't get in Scott Fish Bowl and you think to say a negative thing about the Scott Fish Bowl. This guy, he proactively goes out of his way every year. It's like if you've signed up 4 straight years, he gets you in year 4. hey, I signed up for 11, 10, 9, 8, and you know what? In 11, I think he got like something like 800 new people in. I'm guesstimating. I saw that number
It's a
somewhere.
lot, though.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So Scott does a tremendous amount of stuff. But Jerry, next week we'll do some divisional breakdowns, WarZone style, of course.
Of
What
course.
division do you want to start with? Because you're definitely going to be doing Tuesday night for a Wednesday pod with me. What do you think? What division does the man of the hour want to do? I'm going to
You
give
want to
you.
do
I'm
your
going to give you
home? I,
the first
I,
choice.
I think I think your homeboys. Let's go your home division because you got a lot
AFC
of
South.
polarizing teams in. Yeah, you got a lot of polarizing teams in there.
The dirty, dirty South. Well, there you go. Jerry picked it live. Not his nose, not his crotch. He picked the AFC South. That's going to be and give us one for Friday. You just want to go South South? Let's go every week. So we'll go
Yeah,
AFC
South
South.
South
There you go. We're going to go
Waffle
dirty,
House. We're gonna go to
double
Waffle
dirty.
House right here.
Oh man, you can't beat a good Waffle House. Watch out for the imitation waffle steak. Looks the same, not the same. So there you go. Next week we're going to do some divisional breakdowns, double dirty, dirty South, AFC edition on Wednesday. We'll do the NFC on Friday. And Jerry, just real quick, I want to just give a quick word for our boys over at Hate Brand Goods. You know, they've had a ton of recent drops. They had a rash guard if you're into jiu-jitsu or grappling. I think that may have sold out. Solid black and tobacco brown version of the goat shorts. You know I love them. And on Thursday, they're releasing their 2021 version of their backpack. They do one every year. It looks great for the gym, if you're doing like some light trail hiking, the commute, or just whatever you haul around on a day-to-day basis and use a backpack. I'm a backpack guy. I've got one of their backpacks. They're great. And you can use promo code Memphis at checkout, and it will save you some dollars. That's my nickname, Memphis, MEMPHIS, when you go to the HVIII.com. Promo code Memphis. So there you go, Jerry. If you don't want to support us with a Patreon or Hate Brand Goods or Trophy Smack or Viridian Global, cool. Leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star. Go to it's free. Does it cost you anything to go to Apple, Jerry? Well, it does for you. It costs you some time because you're an Android guy.
That's true. I got to use the wife's phone, but it's okay.
You know what? If you're an Android guy and you're married to an iPhone gal, grab her phone. She's like, what are you doing? Look, I don't care if you're texting your ex-boyfriend from high school. I gotta leave the Dynasty WarZone a 5-star review.
But if you check her phone and she is tweeting about Jonnu Smith being a huge thing because he gets a lot of money,
Ask questions.
throw the phone.
Yes, absolutely. And if she is texting an ex-boyfriend from high school, just make sure to let her know that he needs to chip in on this month's rent. Well, listen, on behalf of that guy, his name is Jerry Sinclair. Rate, review, subscribe everywhere, podcast, YouTube. We appreciate you guys tuning in. A lot of fun. We're going to knock out a couple of weeks of some divisional breakdowns, and we're going to have some new friends. Some new people are going to stop by, help Jerry and I with some of these divisional breakdowns as we continue to bring up the next crop of DWZ content providers. So on behalf of that man, he is the man of the hour, the man with the power at Jerry Sin DWZ. I'm at DWZ Memphis. And until next time, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great Wednesday.